This is the Canyon Aeroad CF SLX in full Team Katusha spec with SRAM eTap and some very tasty Zipp clinchers in place of the tubulars that the pros would be riding. I've ridden a lot of really tasty bikes recently, and this is undeniably one of the coolest looking. It just looks extremely fast standing here, and I guarantee you that on the road it is extremely fast because it has a whole host of amazing aero tweaks. For example, this integrated carbon cockpit is Canyon's own, and it's claimed to save 5.5 watts at 45 kilometers an hour. The frame has a whole load of little details. It's got truncated aero profiles on some of the tubes, including the down tube, the seat tube, and there's lovely little blended parts like where the fork meets the frame. Aero bikes often come with a lot of compromises, but the Aeroad is actually pretty straightforward. It's got normal external brake calipers, so you're not fishing around underneath the chainstays. As SRAM doesn't currently make a direct mount caliper, this bike's actually got Shimano ones, which work absolutely fine. And the headset is a fairly standard arrangement, even though it's got this fancy integrated cockpit. This is in stark contrast to the approach taken by the likes of Trek and Specialized with their top-end machines, where absolutely everything is proprietary. This is really cool because it is a genuine pro bike, but it's one with the practical everyday touches that make it usable in the real world. There are of course some downsides. The super smooth integrated seat clamp is a little bit difficult to access if you're using a multi-tool out on the road. The big thing is that this has got eTap, and of course that means no gear cables routed through the frame, which is a huge advantage when you're working on the bike. This is actually my first time riding SRAM's eTap, and I'm really impressed. I think it's obvious that SRAM took a sort of clean slate approach to this because the shifting logic that they've come up with, where it's easy gear on one hand and hard gear on the other hand, just makes so much more sense than Shimano Di2's approach, which kind of replicates mechanical shifting too much. It does take a little bit of mental adjustment, but once you've got it, it makes perfect sense. And shifting the front is great because you just do both hands at the same time. One cool feature of eTap is the little blip shifters, which are set up as thumb shifters on this bike, but you can put them anywhere you want. So you can have, for example, a climbing shifter up here. It's very similar to Shimano's satellite shifters on Di2. Given that this is a proper pro race bike, it shouldn't come as any surprise that it's quite a focused ride. It's not, I'm not going to say it's uncomfortable, but it's a fairly firm ride, which I'd say is quite good for an aero bike, but not exceptional and definitely not in the leagues of a true endurance machine. Such a focused race bike won't necessarily be for everyone, but if you are in the market for something to ride fast everywhere, then the Aeroad has got to be worth a look, because it's basically an aero bike with normal features. It's not official, but we're pretty sure a disc version of this bike is on the horizon, so it's safe to say that the Aeroad will be around for a long time to come.